Welcome back to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a fascinating chronological three-act narrative all about the Ark returning to Israel. We're talking bizarre appeasement rituals, a highly specific divine test, and a joyous homecoming that ends in, well, sudden and devastating tragedy. So, to kick things off without giving away our shocking ending, let's look at the strange combination of golden artifacts and unyoked cows that sets the stage for our mystery. I mean, imagine trying to apologize to a deity you barely understand, using your most valuable materials to sculpt images of the exact things tormenting you. How does an attempt to make things right spiral into an unprecedented disaster? We're dropping right into the middle of the action here. Our story begins exactly 7 months after the Ark of the Lord was taken into the country of the Philistines. For 7 long months, this sacred Israelite artifact has been sitting in foreign territory, and let me tell you, it hasn't exactly been a peaceful stay for its captors. Desperate for a solution to an absolute crisis, the Philistines go straight to their spiritual leaders. A devastating plague has swept through their lands, and they've connected this intense suffering directly to the presence of the Ark. They essentially ask their priests and diviners, "What should we do to the Ark of the Lord? Tell us how to send it back to its place." They are just desperate to remove the heavy hand of this foreign god. Well, their spiritual advisors come back with a very specific protocol. The priests are crystal clear. Sending the Ark back empty? Absolutely not an option. A trespass offering is strictly required. They explain that it's only by sending this offering that the people will be healed, and only then will they finally understand why this divine punishment wasn't removed from them sooner. This brilliantly illustrates the bizarre specifics of that trespass offering. They are told to send 5 golden emerods, basically tumors, and 5 golden mice. Why exactly 5? Because they correspond directly to the 5 lords of the Philistines and their major cities, Ashdod, Gaza, Ascalon, Gath, and Ekron. And the golden mice represent all the affected territory, from the heavily fenced cities all the way out to the country villages. Now, you might be wondering, why go to all the trouble of making golden images of your own suffering? Well, the priests explicitly explain this is to give glory to the God of Israel. But they also drop a really stark historical warning. They ask the people, "Why do you harden your hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts?" They're reminding the Philistines of the Exodus, basically saying, look, resisting this God didn't work out well for Egypt before. They let the Israelites go, so we'd better learn from their mistakes. Okay, let's dive into the incredibly fascinating, highly controlled experiment the priests designed. It's an ingenious, if somewhat harsh setup. Step 1, build a brand new cart. Step 2, take 2 milk kine, which are maternal milk cows that have never been under a yoke. Step 3, and this is the really wild part, tie these cows to the cart but force their young calves away and lock them up at home. Finally, step 4, load the Ark and a coffer containing those golden jewels onto the cart. So the crucial point here is the strict binary stakes of this divine test. If these mother cows unnaturally abandon their calves to head straight up the coast to Israelite territory, it completely proves divine intervention. It would confirm the God of Israel brought the plague. But if they do what any normal cow would do and just stay behind or wander around aimlessly, the priests will conclude that the plague was just terrible luck, a mere chance that happened to us. With the stage perfectly set and the stakes established, the men follow the precise instructions of their diviners. They take the 2 milk cows, secure them to the new cart, lock the calves safely away at home, and carefully load the Ark of the Lord right alongside the coffer containing their golden mice and emerods. Then they simply step back, send it away, and let the test unfold. Now, what's really interesting here is this poignant detail in the text. The cows are lowing as they went. They are literally crying out for their calves. Every natural maternal instinct is screaming at them to turn back. Yet miraculously, they march the straight way down the highway toward Bethshemesh. They don't turn aside to the right hand, they don't veer to the left. And right behind them, tracking their every single move, are the 5 Philistine lords. The scene now shifts across the border. In the valley of Bethshemesh, the Israelites are right in the middle of their wheat harvest. Imagine this. They look up from reaping their wheat, and suddenly, there is the Ark of the Lord rolling right into their valley on a driverless cart. The text tells us they were absolutely overjoyed at its miraculous return. The cart rolls right into the field of a man named Joshua and stops perfectly beside a great stone. Let's move to this celebration, which is impromptu but actually highly structured.
The men of Bethshemesh immediately spring into action. They dismantle the cart, cleaving the wood for kindling, and offer the 2 cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. Meanwhile, the Levites, the designated priestly class, step in to properly handle the ark and the golden trespass offering, setting both carefully upon the great stone. It's an epic day filled with burnt offerings and sacrifices.
And quietly observing this entire spectacle from the border are those 5 lords of the Philistines. Having watched the cows miraculously complete the journey, and having seen the Israelites joyously receive the ark, the lords finally have their definitive answer. The test is completely resolved. So they turn around and head back to the city of Ekron that exact same day. But just as the narrative seems to reach a happy resolution for the Israelites, we hit a devastating tonal shift. The rejoicing just abruptly stops. The text reveals that the men of Bethshemesh commit a seemingly simple yet cosmically fatal act of curiosity. They look directly into the ark of the Lord. In doing so, they breached a secret boundary that was never, ever meant to be crossed. This staggering number right here represents the tragic climax of the story. Because they looked into the ark, the Lord smote 50,000 and 70 men, 50,070 men. It is a massive, incomprehensible slaughter, brought about entirely by their unauthorized gaze into the sacred object they've just been celebrating. The triumph of the ark's return is instantly and completely eclipsed by profound mourning. The people lament because the Lord had smitten so many of them with a great slaughter. It's a terrifying demonstration of the lethal power of the divine presence they had just welcomed back. A wheat harvest, which is typically a season of life and sustenance, completely transforms into a scene of unimaginable death. The traumatized survivors are left reeling, and they ask this profound existential question: who is able to stand before this holy Lord God, and to whom shall he go up from us? It perfectly captures the sheer terror of their encounter with the holy. They quickly realize this object is just far too dangerous for them to keep in their presence. Ultimately, this explainer highlights how an ancient artifact proved just way too perilous to hold. Terrified and desperate, the survivors send messengers to the nearby inhabitants of Kirjath-Jearim, pleading with them, "The Philistines have brought again the ark of the Lord. Come you down and fetch it up to you." And it really leaves us with a compelling final thought. If an object meant to symbolize divine favor is so incredibly lethal that neither enemies nor followers can safely possess it, how can humanity ever hope to safely bridge the gap between the earthly and the strictly divine?